Let's get more now on that news that Phillip Schofield has revealed he's gay. The TV presenter has been married for nearly 27 years and says his decision is supported by his wife and family. Earlier, Mr Schofield appeared on the ITV show he co-hosts with Holly Willoughby to explain his decision to come out.
I mean, I feel a little lighter,
Yeah.
but I also am very, very aware of, that there's no question that it causes pain and it causes upset.
You've been very open and honest with Steph all the way through this.
Yeah, I have no secrets. We've never had any secrets. I've, had to deal with this in my head for quite some time. And so, we've gone through this together. We've been honest and we've been open. And Steph, as I said, I can't write in any statement what I feel about that woman.
Well, let's speak to the singer Will Young, who is also the author of a forthcoming book, How to Be a Gay Man, and he joins us now from Los Angeles. Hello to you, Will. And we heard in that clip there Phillip Schofield talking about grappling with this for a long time. He's talked about it consuming him, consuming his head. What will it have taken for him to come out today?
Well, thanks for having me on. I can't talk for someone else, so I can't suppose what is going on in another person. It's not for me to do that. What I can, I can relate. I watched the interview earlier this morning. I woke up to a deluge of texts, all praising him, which was lovely. And I watched the interview, and I actually got very emotional because I thought it was wonderful and beautiful, and felt a lot of pride and empathy and respect, huge amount of respect. For me, when I came out for myself when I was at university, that was 2000, and then came out from the beginning of my career, which was very rare then. I did need to have my family and my friends and the people I work with supporting me, and I definitely had that. And it seems like, well, it's obvious that he has that as well. I think it's a day to celebrate. I think it's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, and it's interesting, you came out publicly in 2002, shortly after Pop Idol, in the public eye, and I wonder how much has changed in the 17, 18 years since then, because Phillip himself says in the statement his inner conflict contrasts with an outside world that has changed so very much for the better, that today being gay is a reason to celebrate. What he's struggling with is the hurt that he's causing to his family, as we heard him say there.
Yeah, I mean, it's changed so much. I mean, I remember during the last week of Pop Idol going on to This Morning with Phillip Schofield on there, and my gosh, it's changed, and it is something to celebrate. It always was something to celebrate. I mean, what has been interesting actually in the book that I've done over the last year is going back through the media, particularly papers, radio, and their homophobia towards a gay pop star, an openly gay pop star, which I was. And it shows me, one, how horrific it was then, because I was just a kind of walking, Maury pole and an example of how gay men and gay people were treated at that time. And now it's completely different. And the things that were said about me, they'd never be said now. And I think it's just brilliant that you have someone on who's the anchor of one of the most popular shows in Britain, being authentic and open, and the support is overwhelming. And like I said, what a day to celebrate that visibility, because it's all about visibility. And the important thing, good point to make, the important thing about that show is that a lot of families watch it, and it's really important for parents to understand what it's like, so it educates them. Because what I always say is, as adults, we've come a long way in terms of rights, particularly over the last 10 years, but we're still woefully letting down our children in the education system. I've had meetings with 2 education ministers, Michael Gove, Nicky Morgan, and been hugely disappointed by their lack of focus and discipline on how to prevent homophobia in schools.
Yeah, and I suppose, Will, the fact that we're even talking about this, that a man comes out as gay in 2020 should be headline news, says something, doesn't it? At what point do we get to where we're not even talking about this?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I guess the thing is with sexuality that it's something that's not sort of seen. So it'll probably always be a talking point. And also, men liking men, women liking women is in the minority. And that's just a fact. So it is going to be more likely newsworthy. I think what's so great is that we're talking about it and having an open dialogue about it in a very positive way, in an intelligent way. And like I said, I do think that the focus really needs to be on young people. The use of I did a campaign with Stonewall a few years ago about the use of the word gay, the misappropriation of the use of the word gay as a negative context, which is now still used. I mean, it's pretty much in the dictionary as a gay means no, stop being so gay, that's so wrong. And if you're growing up as a young gay person and you hear constantly, it's what I say in the book, which is what I had, constantly messages of being gay means it's wrong, it's bad, it's defunct, then you get a huge amount of gay shame, which is the reason why twice as many young gay people try to kill themselves. And then you go up to transgender people, and that's almost 3 times as much in comparison to young straight people. So we've got to address it in schools.
Yeah, and you talk in the book as well about this legacy of gay shame. What do you mean by that, Will?
Well, gay shame is growing up, like I just sort of alluded to, growing up in a society where one doesn't feel the norm. So I didn't feel the norm. I didn't feel accepted. I had, if you don't have acceptance at home, or you don't feel you can open up at home. I mean, I was at a boarding school, which was horrific in itself. So I didn't spend so much time at home. You don't have safety in the education system, and you don't have safety in the wider society. Even though when you get to a point, it's my mother messaging me. Hang on a sec. Even though you get to a point when you come out, you've still got a historical amount of trauma and shame in your body, and that's what leads to abuse, of oneself. That's what leads to addiction. So it's something that's really underexplored, and that's why I wanted to write the book and talk about it in my own life and how I got through it.
Yeah, well, one of the things that Phillip said this morning in his interview was that he sits on that sofa in the ITV studio day in, day out, and he talks to people who are confronting their own truths, that he asks those questions, he hears them. You yourself have sat there on that sofa, and that he felt it was now the time to be honest with himself as well as with the public. How much did you feel that responsibility as someone in the public eye to come out?
I didn't feel a responsibility because it was so much. It was. If I felt responsibility, it was to myself. And I remember people did suggest that, because at that time pop stars didn't come out. You just sort of hide it. And I just thought the idea of pretending to walk around with sort of staged photographs of me with a pretend girlfriend would just crush me, because I'd already come out.
Did you come under pressure to do that, Will?
Yeah. Oh gosh, yes. I mean, I had, and I say this in the book, I had a head of the record company saying that I sounded too gay when I sang Leave Right Now. I had to re-record it 4 times. I had the same head of the record company suggesting that I did a duet with George Michael at the Brits and we kissed at the end that would be the only way that I could get on the Brits. I had me dancing with a male mannequin in a video, and someone said, we're worried about this and it will show the downturn of Will's career. I mean, it was basically homophobia. I had people in the certain papers suggesting that I was part of a gang at school where I homophobically abused kids. I had a radio DJ making fun of my sexuality, saying it was my birthday and I was going to put on lipstick and a dress, and the BBC. I've got the copies of the correspondence between my lawyer and the BBC, and the BBC then were anything but kind of kind about it. You know, and the list goes on. But thankfully, this is not a sob story for me, because we're through that now, and all through it as well, I was damned if I was going to be anything other than true to myself. And what I think so brilliant and inspiring is that Phillip Schofield talks about his well-being, and he puts that, you know, at the key of the driving force behind him wanting to talk, do the interview on the sofa with Holly, which I thought was amazing.
Yeah, and,
And we've all got to think about our well-being.
He also talks about that public perception that you don't know what's going on. In his words, someone's seemingly perfect life from the outside, things can appear one way, and inside very different.
Well, yeah, and maybe you experience it being on the camera. You know, there's no such thing as perfect. What I thought was brilliant is they both spoke about how they always say to people, always talk to someone. And that's what, when I give well-being talks, you know, I always say, you've got to share it with, because otherwise it eats you up inside. So very inspirational interview, and a very inspirational programme actually this morning.
Will Young, thank you very much indeed for talking to us here on Sky News.
Do I look like a plumber?
The hat's a good look.
I do, don't I?
It's a good look.
I do.